Hello, student. I'm Dr. Shefali Jain, Assistant Professor, Tirthankar Mahavir University. In this video, we discuss about the classical theory of distribution. Distribution theory in economics, the systematic attempt to account for the sharing of the national income among the owners of the factors of production, land, labor, and capital. As you know, the factor payment of the land is rent. The factor payment of the labor is wages. The factor payment of capital is interest. And just like the factor payment of the entrepreneurs is profit. Traditional economics have studies how the cost of these factors and the size of their returns as rent, factor payment of land, wages, labor, and profits is entrepreneurs are fixed. The theory of distribution involves three distinguishable sets of questions. First, how is the national income distributed among the person? It is known as the theory of factor pricing. There are two aspects of this theory. First of all, personal distribution, and second, functional distribution. Distribution, income distribution among individuals is known as personal distributions. इट मीन्स कि जो इनकम है अगर वो व्यक्तिगत रूप से अगर दी जाती है तो उसे पर्सनल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कहेंगे. The theory of personal distribution studies how personal income of individual are determined and what causes the inequality in their income. Just like functional distribution, this refers to how income is to be distributed among various factors of production. The theory of functional distribution studies how the relative prices of factor of production are determined. That is reason why it has also been termed as a theory of factor pricing. Now we will study theory of distribution. So, as we discussed with you, the earlier discussion on the distribution of income in the previous video is found in the writing of the classical economists as Adam Smith, Ricardo were the most prominent economics of the classical school. These economics attempted to explain the prices of product in terms of so-called natural rates of reward for labor, land, and capital. These natural rates of reward were explained by spatial theories. Uh, Interestingly, even the leading classical economists did not wholly agree among themselves in explaining rent, wages, interest, and profit, and in some cases, their differences were on substantial points. We shall conform here only to what are considered the representative theories, the classical school, for explaining rent, Ricardian theory is considered most authentic. These are two theories that explain the wages. Also, Adam Smith and David Ricardo developed the subsistence theory. Some other classical economics, including J.S. Mill, advocates the wage fund theory for explaining wage rates. Interest has been explained in terms of demand for the supply of saving. Although the classical economics use the concept of profit in their writing. So, as I also study, there are in this theory there are two aspects of this theory: personal distribution, when the individually are also studies, and the functional distribution among various factors, when the distribution among various factors of production. Now we will discuss the theory of distribution. Is a specific matter of study of the theory of price, as I also discussed with you, as prices of product can be described with the help of interaction of the demand and supply forces. Likewise, this distribution can also be described by the determination of prices factors which are also explained the interactions of their demand and supply forces. But the important point to keep in the mind is that in the theory of distribution, we affect the prices of the services rendered by the factors of production and not of the factors of production. For example, in the market of the factors of production, it's not the labor uh, which is being bought or sold to the services of labor. Similarly, land, capital, and entrepreneur goods are not being evaluated, but the service of such land, capital, and entrepreneur goods. Thus, rent is not the price of the land, but the price of service or use of land and wages. It's the price of the service of labor and interest is the price of the use of the capital and the profit is reward of the entrepreneur's services. Hence, we can observe from the above mentioned points that the need for the theory of distribution or the theory of factor pricing arose due to the shortcoming in the theory of product pricing. So, classical theory of distribution, according to the according to the classical theory of distribution, the prices of the services of the factors of production are determined by the supply and demand forces of such services. So, rent, as per the theory of rent, propounded by Ricardo, rent is the portion of the produce of earth which is paid to the landlord for original and indestructible hours of soil. He views rent as a differential surplus and some plots of land earned over the other. It means at a state, as we also discussed, that the bootstrap theory of the classical framework has been provided by David Ricardo, who is considered one of the foremost economists, the classical school. According to Ricardo, rent is that portion of the produce of earth which is paid of the land to the landlord for the original and indestructible powers of the soil. In his opinion, rent is earned by the landlord by making certain improvement on land. It is a surplus left after the cost of cultivations as represented by payments to labor and capital has been met. And in developing in his theory of rent, Ricardo released on deductive reasoning. In his opinion, man must cultivate the super superior most quality land first. As Ricardo also discussed in his way, first of all, man cultivated first of all the superior land, superior quality land. And until such a land was available, rent could not arise. But in any country, best quality land cannot be available in limited quantity is supply exhaust with the increase in population as population grows and the demand for grains increases people are compelled to bring the second best quality land under cultivation obviously the production on this land which is not marginal land will not be as much as on the best quality land. According to the in the rent, he views that rent as a differential surplus that some plot of land earned over the above the others. Just like wages, as per the theory of wages provided by economics T.R. Neal and J.S. Mill. Labor is sold in the market and its value is determined like the other commodities. According to J.S. Mill, the wage rate depends on the ratio of the workforce to the amount of working capital. Wages, as mentioned earlier, classical economists had developed two different theories of wages determined. Adam Smith and David Ricardo are considered the chief exponents of the sustained wage theory. T.R. Malthus and J.S. Mill propounded the wage fund theory The subsistence theory of waste determination assumes that labor is purchased and sold in the market like any other commodity, and its value is determined like the value of other commodity. Since the classical economists argue that in the long run the value of any commodity is equal to its production cost, therefore the value of labor should also be equal to the cost of producing it, which is essential in the amount required for maintaining the workers and his dependent at the subsistence level. The sustainability theory asserts that workers in the long run earn only the subsistence wage, irrespective of their productivity in the short run. However, actual wage rate can be at variance from the sustainability, but in the long run, through adjustment in the supply of labor. Actual wage rate will tend to be equal to the sustained wage. Ricardo was of the view that the sustained level of wage will be rigidly fixed for all times, and J.S. Mill has propounded the wage fund theory in the most cogent from according to him. Wage rate depends on ratio of workforce to the amount of working capital which is meant to be spent directly on the purchase of labor. The wages fund, that is the amount of working capital provided by obtaining the services of labor, is not in practice any fund set aside for paying the wages. The producer only have an estimate of it in their mind. The aggregates of these individual producer estimates make the national estimate of wage fund, which ordinarily remains fixed over time. Therefore, any change in the wage rate that may occur will be due to a change in the number of workers willing to work for wages. The wages fund theory does not suggest that in the long run wage rate should remain stable at a certain level. It admits that over time wage rate may rise either due to an increase in the wage fund resulting from higher saving or the decrease in the workforce. The possibility of both the factors operating simultaneously also accepted. And interest. As for the theory of interest propounded by economics J.S. Mill, the interest is determined by the interactions of the demand and supply force of capital. The demand for capital is need for the purpose of investment, and thus the demand for capital varies inversely with the rate of interest. As interest, J.S. Mill is the chief exponent of the classical theory of interest. In his opinion, the rate of interest is determined by the interaction of demand or the supply of capital. He remarked that the rate of interest depends essentially and permanently on the comparative amount of real capital offered and demanded in the way of loan, and thus fluctuations in the rate of interest arise from variations either in the demand for loans or in the supply. The classical theory of interest suggests that the source of supply of capital is that part of income which is withheld from consumptions. This is called saving. In the classical theory, savings functioning created interest and varies directly with it. The demand for capital is made for investment purposes only as is interest lasting. It implies that the demand for capital arises as a rate of interest increases and it diminishes with the rise in the rate of interest. To be brief, the demand for interest varies inversely with rate of interest. The demand for the supply of capital are equal at the rate of interest which is obtained by the interaction of the demand and the supply schedule. Now, profit. The, the classical profit as per the theory of profit, the value of commodity is determined based on services of labor used in. Uh, the classical economists did not provide any special theory of profit. It was difficult for them because had released on labor theory of value for explaining the value of commodities. According to this theory, the value of a commodity depends on the amount of labor embodies in it. This might have been true in the earlier societies when labor was the sole producer of commodities. Even in his time, Adam Smith noted. So when labor was sole producer of commodity, even in its time, Adam Smith noted that employers used his own capital along with the hired labor for producing commodities. He therefore argued that when goods are sold, they must fetch not only enough to cover the wages of workers, but they must also bring in some things by way of profit for their employers. Smith did not believe that profit may be special types of wages, the reward for labor, of instructions of supervision. In his opinion, profit bears relation only the size of capital stock of employers. Ricardo, who also released a labor theory of value, failed to explain adequately the origin of capitalist profit. He argued that the value of the commodity depend on both present and past labor. In this way, he incorporated capital into his system and found an explanation for profit. So, to sum up, the classical theory which explained rent, wages, interest, and profit were some insight into the distributions process, but they are not entirely correct and therefore have been abandoned. Modern economists now assert that land alone does not earn rent. It can accrete to any factors of production. This approach we will learn later in these are determined neither by system level of workers not by the wages fund. It is marginal productivity of workers that decisively determine the wage rate, since neither the saving nor investment are interest lasting. The basic premise of the classical theory of interest is incorrect. Finally, the classical theory failed to explain the why profit arises. So, in this theory, we also know about the factor payment, rent, wages, interest, and profit. Hope student well understood the distribution theory, the classical theory of distribution. Now, thank you. Thank you.